Hello, everybody, and welcome to Our Life Beginnings and Always. This is the Patreon bonus moment that I just recently got. Being that I am a Patreon contributor, I'm on their $10 tier. Let's see, get the mic up here so you can hear me better. Get some better voice going in here. When I first did the first part of this, I didn't realize that the uncensored parts don't come until later when they go to Cove's bedroom. So now that I know where to stop and record the uncensored parts to put onto a different site, I decided that I needed to go back and redo the first part of this video so that the regular parts will be on YouTube for you guys to see. It'll have all of it, so yeah. So start from the beginning. Welcome to Our Life Beginnings and Always 18 plus Patreon moment. Before getting into the moment, we've got quick info prologue. And I'm going to skip a lot of this. This is all the reading. So basically, this is like after the summer ends on step 3 is where this moment comes into play. And you get to start by making your own, remaking your character. So, yeah, that's good. Eye color. Purple, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. And that's good. That's good. Okay. And my character is a he, and of course gay, of course. Okay. And we have the same name, Chippy. Last name, Prince. There we go. Let's see. Earrings, yeah, or not. Yeah, those are good. Those are nice too. Yeah, those are better actually. Huh, okay. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. And leave the lips the same. Let's see. No scars, no birthmarks, or no freckles. I don't like freckles, so. Clothing types: pants, shirts, Accessories, bracelets, necklace. No braces. Ring. I don't think so. No. No nail color. No nose ring. Okay. I think that's done. Yeah. None. Okay. And now we get to customize Cove all over again. Do customizations here. I like the tank top. I just don't like the color really, but there's no way to change the color actually, so I have to leave it like that. I don't like the hair for sure. That I like that hair on him. He looks better without glasses. Earrings, let's see. Let's give him some earrings, yeah. Yeah, that's good. And pants, we can change the pants maybe. Cargo pants is good. Okay. As for bracelets. Okay, that works. And yeah, necklace is good. Okay, for PJs. Let's see. Leave this all the same over here. And PJs. I like that one better. And for pants. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah. Swimsuit. Okay. Leave all this the same. Okay, so that just changes the color of the shorts, so we'll just leave it. Blue is good enough. For formal wear. I do like this shirt, but let's see what else there is. Yeah, it shows only 2 choices. Okay, so we'll just leave it like that. And that's it. Yeah, that. Personality, warm, and I'll leave it in the middle, mixed, basically. And done. Okay, for my level, direct Cove's initiative level is, we'll make it high. We're not gonna. Okay, yeah. Don't skip or censor the mature content. We want that. I'm sure you're gonna want to see it, and even though I've seen it already, it's good. It's really good. What is your body size? This would be for me. Average. Medium. Some muscle definition, yeah. And your chest is flat because never had any breast, of course, because I'm young. Underwear. Nothing. As for underwear, thongs. I like thongs. And for the pattern, let's see. Basic. Okay, what type of genital do you want Cove to interact with? Highly specific, scientific. Words aren't used to describe it during the scene. I guess this first one, yeah. Let's see. Did you start the relationship with Cove more recently, or is it long term? Long term. Did you propose to Cove at the end of step 3? No, we didn't. We didn't get to do that. I don't think there's any kind of proposal until like step 4, and I'm hoping that it'll come from Cove because I'd love to hear him propose. Although, if it comes down to my character having to propose, then I suppose I will have to do that. Okay. What the hell? No, did not propose. Okay. Lastly, what was your basic plan for the future? Staying local. That's all for the prologue. You can get into the event. Thank you for playing. Okay. Let's get relaxed here. Set up here. Whoa, okay. 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 Gonna get some drink here. Okay. And we're ready. You were pleasantly warm watching the sun set over the horizon. In a quiet evening, it was a beautiful sight, but tonight it was easy to look away. On the blanket next to you was your boyfriend, Cove Holden. And isn't he gorgeous? From the way he was positioned, you could tell his eyes had been on you already. How could you see the... Now you could see the affection in his gaze and how the corner of his mouth pulled into a shy smile. There was a gentle, comfortable silence between you both. Summer ended some time ago, but perk of living in Southern California meant there were still plenty of perfect beach days like today. Excuse me. Earlier, you both snagged a large blanket from Cove's house and packed up a bunch of on the go snacks to spend the afternoon there before the slightly chillier weather came back around. Cove had kicked his shoes off the moment you set things down, and neither of you had left the beach for hours. The last big summer outing you had was here with everyone, and that was a wonderful day. However, smiling at Cove, you were happy to have moments alone like this. It was special. Cove then suddenly broke eye contact, staring down at the ground in front of you. His fingers brushed and pulled at a stray strand. You couldn't help but wonder what had been on his mind while you were musing to yourself. Okay. So, there's still some watermelon left. Do you want it? Do you want it? Oh. Was that what you've been thinking about all this time? Watermelon? To have or not to have? That is the question. Cole's nose scrunched up as he tried in vain not to crack a smile at your light teasing. He shook his head. What? Oh no. I just felt like I needed to find something to say. That wasn't really what I had in mind before. There was no missing the light blush spreading across Cove's cheeks. Your mouth curled into a curious grin. So, what were you thinking about then? Cove shrank into himself and fidgeted with his hands, growing more nervous by the second. It was about how nice you are. Okay, there we go. Oh, nice I am. Okay. He laughed breathily and switched his swarming to awkwardly rubbing at his cheek instead. Cove wouldn't quite meet your stare. Hmm, that's a new one. You propped one of your knees up and laid on the side of your arm against that. Intrigued, a small smile tugged at the corner of Cove's mouth. He still looked lost in thought. Ugh. It's hard to explain. Okay, yeah. Right. Making sure I didn't skip anything. Cove ran a hand through his hair. He sighed, looking a bit frustrated, while he composed his thoughts. I wasn't exactly thinking down some straight line of consciousness. It was more like just a lot of feelings building up and making a mess in my head. A lot of wow, I'm so happy, and Chippy looks completely, amazingly perfect right now, and I really love you, and yeah, that kind of stuff. That's all. No, nice. I was feeling the same way. You were? Sure, why not? Stunned, the words fell from his mouth. You nodded. I A light blush bloomed on his face, and Cove shyly focused on the blanket instead. You could tell that you made him happy. Well, I can't imagine thinking about anything else when you're here together like when we're here together like this. Well, it's nice he's thinking about me like that. I like that. Another silence blanket you both. Cove remained focused on the waves gently rolling in. Even after a few minutes, his cheeks were still stained pink. Cove didn't move, but finally he spoke, more comfortably this time. Would you want to go for a walk? Of course, why not? With you, always. Sand started falling the moment you both stood up. You dusted yourself off, and Cole stretched his arms up above his head before offering his hand to you. You reached out and took it. The warm, warning rays of sunshine bounced off Cove and left him there, still bits of sand stuck to his skin, but that didn't stop you from interlocking your fingers with his. I think I'm not on the full screen here, so let me look. Yeah, I wasn't on the full screen. Okay. Yeah, that fixes it. Okay. Did I read this part? Yeah, I read this part. Elated, you settled in next to him. Cove was beaming and he nudged you in closer so your forearms were flush against each other. There are things that just never get old. No matter how many times you do them, this is one of them. Okay, what was the question? Okay. Being together on the beach. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a special place with a special person. You can't get much better than that. Yeah, he's a very sentimental guy. I can tell. He's like that. The only thing that kind of compares, I think, is being at the Poppy Hill with you. Yep, very sentimental. You hummed in agreement, imagining the gorgeous poppies. Cove lifted his head up higher and looked ahead into the distance where the hill would be. This is what I want the life I live to be. You know, it's how I hope I'll get to spend the time I have. So every day that has it matters to me. I hope you never stop being so sentimental. Cove's teeth sank into his bottom lip, his face quickly turning pink. You couldn't help but watch adoringly. Me too. Cove sighed happily. His smile stretched ear to ear, and his grip on you momentarily tightened with a comforting squeeze. Side by side, you both continued strolling up the beach, scanning the shore for seashells or other interesting finds. Eventually, you turned around to head back the way you came, silently hoping that the blanket hadn't blown away. It hadn't, but even if it did, still couldn't have dampened your mood. That time was filled with so much laughter and good conversation that you were walking on air. The sun had fully disappeared behind the waves by the time you settled back into your little spot on the shore. You turned your eyes to the night sky for a moment and breathed in the cooling air. Neither of you seemed willing to let the other go, so wordlessly, you both sat on the blanket together. It took a moment of swerving to get positioned, but at the end of it, you were both there, still holding on to one another. Damn. Cove leaned back in onto an elbow while he enjoyed the light, cool breeze coming off the ocean. He smirked. Well, the watermelon is still here. And did I skip something? Okay, no. It's still good. He picked up the remaining slice and took a large bite of it. The chunk he took was about half the size of itself. He placed it back down. Then his focus changed, and you could feel Cove's gaze exploring every inch of your face. You met his eye, his head tilted to the side with a soft look. Thanks for coming out here with me. You're a cutie. I like that one. He wrinkled his nose at your sweet praise, and then you both started laughing. I love you. Those words never failed to turn you into putty on the spot. I love you, Cove Holden. The air changed between you both, and he began moving his face closer towards you, his eyes softly beginning to close. You kissed him. You move and sink, meeting Cove halfway. Humming happily, your lips brushed against his gently. Did I miss something? Nope. Okay. You ran a hand across his chest. It was heated and firm under your palm. And if your thoughts weren't elsewhere already, you would have been able to notice the drumming of his heart. Pressing harder against your mouth, Cove made a pleased sound. Cove pulled himself in tighter, shifting his legs into a better position. You followed, allowing him to deepen the kiss. And then Cove ended it. His half-lidded eyes slowly opened completely, and he scooted away. Cove let his arms fall to his sides, and he flopped his head down into the blanket with a frustrated sigh. He twisted his head to the side, facing away from you. Well, something's clearly wrong. What's bothering you? He only mumbled a curt answer. Nothing. You were at a loss for what to do, but his eyes widened and he practically sat up, catching the bluntness of his own poor attitude. Sorry. You frowned and Cove withdrew again, darting his stare away in guilt. It's nothing you did, I swear. I'm just struggling with relationship stuff, I guess. What else is new? Cove's head hit the blanket once more. This time he rolled over completely to the side again. You almost missed his next question, he whispered. Would it be awkward to talk about or awkward not to talk about it? Talking about relationship things is probably a good idea. You waited patiently for Cove to make his decision. The ball was in his court, but you hoped that he would share what was weighing on his mind. Cove shifted, wrapping his arms around himself. He pinched his brows, but he still didn't say anything. It was clear to you that Cove's mind was heavily with whatever was bothering him. The longer you watched him, the more you weren't sure if he would be ready to speak about it tonight. Eventually, he built up some confidence in his demeanor. He sat up fully and took a deep breath. At least this can't be as weird as the time my dad had a talk with me about this kind of stuff. He rubbed awkwardly his upper arm and tried to crack a smile. A nervous chuckle escaped you. If this gets too embarrassing, you can totally tell me and I'll stop, okay? Cove lightly put his hand over yours, and you nodded firmly. His warmth calmed you, and it'd be wonderful if your touch did the same for him. So, I like being near you a lot, touching you and kissing you. It's really nice, but at some point it stops feeling as good and gets hard to manage. He hung his red faced head in shame. However, he continued on. And it's just that it's too much for me, like we've talked about before. It's too much because it's not enough, and that makes me nervous. Let's see. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you feeling that way. Cove lifted his head up slowly. The waves of nerves coming off him were palpable, but he still managed to give you a soft smile. Cove's mouth wobbled into a frown. It doesn't help that I don't usually deal with these feelings. It only builds up when it comes to you. And I mean, I get self-conscious about when it does happen. Too bad that doesn't help me stop doing it. His shoulders slumped and Cove buried his face in his hands. I don't know what to do. Do me. Chippy. He yelped your name helplessly as you smirked. Oh my God. He pressed his face into his hands even more firmly. At this rate, you doubted if he would ever come out of hiding. His words repeated in your head, making your chest tighten. The realization struck you then that Cove would have a more straightforward answer on your own feelings. Cove, I want more too. Cove shivered hearing that. Cautiously, he lowered his hands to meet your stare. His eyes were huge, like he didn't believe he heard you correctly. You nodded in confirmation, and a tiny squeak escaped him. I mean, it's not that late. The tension was palpable, but instead of unsure nerves, it was a building excitement. Cole's voice hushed to a whisper. My dad won't be home for at least a couple hours. Maybe this would be a good chance to try more. Once he got the last word out, Cole's whole body froze, while yours felt moments away from combusting. It didn't feel possible that Cove Holden could or would ever say this out loud. But it was real. Cove honestly offering you the invitation to get sexual. Now everything came down to you. He waited with unbreathing for your answer. Yes, please, finally. Cove's long withheld exhale turned into a coughing fit. You smiled affectionately, letting him compose himself as much as he could in these circumstances. He choked out a small reply. Okay. Elated, you felt ready for anything. This was really happening. Let's do this. Yes, let's do this. Definitely let's do this. Ugh. Chuck in my eye. I'm gonna get some water here. Actually, it's not water, it's soda. You bundled everything you brought to the beach into your arms and stood up, Stepping back to give Cove room, he gathered the blanket into his arms the best he could. Still, a part of the blanket continued to drag on the ground. He stared down at it, puzzled at how he was going to get that up with his hands so full. Then Cove shrugged. Oops, oh well. You shifted things around and you grabbed the dangling part of the blanket and threw it over Cove's shoulder. Might as well give him a hand. You know? The motion sent sand cascading down to the ground. Then you looked up. You realized it dusted Cove with a new layer of sand too. Chuckling, you watch Cove crack a tiny smile. Thanks for that teamwork. You're welcome. After that, you both made the trek back home. Cove stumbled along the way, and your light laughter filled the air, replacing the fading noise of the waves crashing over the sand. Despite the fun and unspoken tension, calling tighter propelled you home in record time. The night felt more changed than the air before a storm. You arrived back at Cove's house and followed him to the kitchen. He started to drop the picnic stuff he was carrying anywhere there was a clear surface. You took your cue from him and haphazardly spread what you carried into various free spots on the counter. You heard a quick breath from Cove and turned your attention away from the stovetop that you just set a blanket on. Don't put it on the stovetop. Damn, better move that. He started to mumble. I'll put everything away later. Cove started at the picnic blanket in front of him, laying unfolded on the kitchen island. You nodded, realizing that he couldn't see you. Cove seemed like a roughly carved ice sculpture, frozen in place. He was stiff in an unnaturally strained pose. He then slapped his hands on the marble counter and let out another deep sigh. His eyes lifted to look at you. Cove reached out carefully. You let him gently take your hand. It was nice. Despite the clammy feel of his skin. Your heart started to pound, almost painfully hard. If it got any worse, you felt like it would be loud enough for Cove to hear. Cove took the first step out of the kitchen, and the two of you drifted towards his bedroom. He accidentally opened the door with an unneeded level of force. You needed to see expression as you followed him in, but you could tell he was burning up. Cove's hand clenched around yours. His grip was tight, but not crunchily so. You shut the door behind you with a click. Cove jumped at the sound. He was shaking at this point, a jittery leaf. He let out a choking sound. It took a second for you to recognize that he had spoken words rather than spontaneously decided to imitate a frog. Okay. He noticed how ineffective that communication was and repeated himself. Here we are. You sighed at how this was going. Cove turned his head, his eyes wide, his cheeks flushed. Sorry, I'm just, nervous. It's fine. Cove stood up straighter. His gaze slipped off your face as he looked around the room instead. How in the world do people do this? He threw his arms out dramatically, asking the world itself. The world didn't answer. It was up to you. They just do. Cove nodded commonly. His feet inched his body closer to yours. He wanted to do something, but struggled with what. He reached a hand towards you, but let it drop after he tried to go for your shoulder. Then switch trajectory to your hip, and then back up. Cove made another half step towards you, then took it back. His hands balled into fists. Cove was completely stonewalled by his inability to decide physically what to do with himself. Okay. Finally, he rubbed his eyes with the palms of his hands as he laughed at himself and shook his head warily. Maybe the best way to at least start is just to kiss each other like we normally do. That might make it easier to get into stuff, into other stuff. Sounds good. You were game for that. Cove delicately cupped your face in his hands, rubbing a thumb against your skin. He leaned in, guiding you closer as well. You slid into it and met him for a kiss. Cove kissed you softly, patient and loving. Despite your palms, he showed no sign of rushing past this moment. You matched his speed and began to up the intensity. He turned his head to pull a breath before nuzzling your cheek and returning to kissing. This time his kiss was needier and more intense. You were observed all your focus on Cove. The feel of his lips, the heat of his breath, the softness of his skin, the promise of more. The two of you broke apart once more. His arms twisted around you, holding you tight. You initiated the next kiss, wrapping your arms around him. Sorry, I'm having trouble with some of these words. Doing the best I can. He reached down and pulled at Cove's shirt. You gripped at the helm of his shirt encouragingly. You couldn't deny that you liked where it was going and that you wanted to keep going forward. Cove's hands shook but moved with you to pull up his shirt. It felt incredible to actually be doing this with him. You breathed deep and stuck by what was happening. I'm going to go ahead and stop it there because we're getting close to uncensored scenes. So, let's see. Go to configuring. Window it. And let's see. Where is it? Ah, there you are. Okay, I'm stopping for now, and I'm going to record the uncensored scenes, and I will post that onto a different site. I will let you know in the comment section as to where to find that.